Two large storms are developing that will create dramatically different impacts depending on where you live. What makes this pattern particularly noteworthy is how the same weather system will produce flooding rains in one region, blizzard conditions in another, and severe thunderstorms in a third, all within the same 48-hour period. In about 18 minutes, I'll give you region-specific action plans, but first let me show you the bigger picture of what's driving these contrasting conditions. A series of storms is forming in the northern United States that will lead to a rare December heat wave. Powerful winter storms, major flooding, and severe weather. The key to understanding your specific forecast is understanding where you sit relative to this developing pattern. Here's what's happening. As temperatures surge northward, a sharp clash between warm and cold air will set up across the northern United States, creating conditions for a powerful winter storm coast to coast. Heavy snow, strong winds, and poor road conditions could make travel dangerous. But move a few hundred miles south and that same surge of warmth will pull unseasonably moist air northward, increasing instability across the Ohio Valley-Dixie Alley, opening the door for severe weather with potential for spin-up tornadoes. Two completely different stories driven by the same system. At the same time, the Jetstream is flattening out, allowing a strong atmospheric river to lock in over the Pacific Northwest. Prolonged heavy rain at lower elevations combined with significant mountain snow will elevate flooding concerns. This is a third distinct impact zone from the same overall pattern. Let me explain how one weather pattern can create such diverse impacts, because understanding the jet stream mechanics will help you understand why your forecast differs so much from someone just a few hundred miles away. Our jet stream acts as a dividing line between air masses. North of the jet stream, you get cold air and winter weather. South of it, you get warm air and potentially severe weather. Right along the jet stream itself, you often get the heaviest precipitation. Right now, our jet stream has a big dip forming over the Pacific Northwest. This dip is funneling moisture directly into Washington and Oregon. The storm system currently impacting these areas is producing heavy snow blizzard conditions and heavy rain, leading to river flooding. That flooding will worsen over the next couple of days. This is impact zone number 1. As we move into Thursday and Friday, a large storm will form in the northern plains. This is where things get interesting from a meteorological standpoint. The energy from that Pacific storm transfers eastward, and when it encounters the sharp temperature contrast I mentioned, it intensifies rapidly. This storm will bring heavy snowfall, potentially leading to blizzard conditions in the northern tier. That's impact zone number 2. But south of this system, we'll see much warmer weather and the potential for severe thunderstorms. That's impact zone number 3. Very high winds will affect both zones. The wind forecast is remarkable, as I'll show you shortly. As we go into Friday and Saturday, that jet stream dip shifts across the Ohio Valley. A strong cold front will push across the mid-Atlantic on Friday. Temperatures will drop behind this storm, but briefly. By the weekend, our jet stream flattens again, becoming very zonal. For the Pacific Northwest, this unfortunate pattern means continued moisture from the Pacific, dumping more rain along the west coast, possibly including areas further south in California. Eventually, as we move into early next week, right before Christmas, the pattern shifts again. Christmas could be very interesting temperature-wise, because we could see a huge rise in our jet stream across the central and southern U.S., leading to what we call torch conditions. I'll explain what this means for your Christmas plans in a few minutes. Now let me break this down region by region, because your story depends entirely on your location. Starting with the Pacific Northwest, and this is where conditions are most serious right now. It's a complete mess over Washington and Oregon. We have snow, rain, high winds all occurring simultaneously. An entire monster storm system has formed, causing flooding and blizzard conditions in higher elevations. Major travel impacts are expected throughout today, especially in mountain passes. Late tonight, this low-pressure system moves across the northern Rockies. It's going to be a very intense storm system. Here's something that might affect you directly. If you're someone who gets headaches from pressure drops, tomorrow will be particularly challenging across the Midwest and northern plains. Our pressure will drop from around 1,020 millibars in areas like Michigan and Wisconsin down to around 980 millibars late Thursday. That's a pressure drop of 40 millibars in just 24 hours. This kind of rapid drop affects people sensitive to pressure changes. Now let's talk about the northern tier story. As this storm moves past the Rockies Thursday, we're expecting heavy snowfall and possible blizzard conditions in far northern Minnesota and North Dakota. Any remaining snow on the ground could also cause blizzard-like conditions from the extremely high winds across parts of the Midwest, including Iowa, South Dakota, and Wisconsin. Generally speaking, this won't be a major winter storm in terms of snowfall amounts. If you're in North Dakota, Minnesota, or northern Wisconsin, widespread coating to upwards of 6 to 7 inches of snow is possible. However, and this is the critical part, we're going to have very high winds throughout Thursday. Blizzard conditions are definitely possible even with this relatively modest snowfall amount. Here's where the wind story affects everyone across the northern half of the country. If you have an inflatable snowman in your yard, secure it now. As we go into late tonight into early Thursday, we're expecting extremely high winds across the central and northern plains. A widespread swath of 40 to 70 mile-per-hour winds is expected across the Dakotas, Minnesota, and Nebraska. To put that in perspective, 70 mile-per-hour winds are equivalent to a Category 1 hurricane. These winds continue Thursday afternoon across Iowa, Missouri, Kansas, even into Oklahoma and Arkansas, where we aren't expecting much precipitation. Late Thursday night into early Friday, winds remain strong across the Great Lakes region with gusts still around 25 to 45 miles per hour. Now let's shift to the southern tier story because while the north is dealing with snow and wind, the south faces a completely different threat. Thursday afternoon brings a threat of strong to severe storms over the Ohio Valley. The biggest concern will be a line of thunderstorms producing damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. It should remain an isolated risk, but I wouldn't rule out an isolated tornado somewhere in that line. If a tornado occurs, it would be very weak. The environment isn't particularly favorable for tornadoes. But thunderstorms will develop from Ohio back into Tennessee throughout Thursday daytime. This is the warm side of the system where temperatures will be well above normal and instability will be sufficient for thunderstorm development. Thursday evening brings continued snow over Wisconsin and Minnesota. If you're in Minneapolis or Wausau, you could see some light snowfall, but we're not expecting significant accumulation. Friday morning shifts the action to New England. We're talking about a messy situation with plenty of moderate to heavy rainfall throughout the late morning and early afternoon. Some light snow on the backside of that system. This is the eastern extension of the system that brought everything else earlier in the week. While that's happening, here's the continuing story for the Pacific Northwest. We're going to have another intense shot of heavy rain and snow Thursday night into early Friday. This will cause even more problems with flooding and landslides. For total rainfall accumulation across the Pacific Northwest between now through Friday night, if you're anywhere in Washington or Oregon, especially western portions, widespread 3 to 7 inches of rain is expected. Higher elevations will see considerably more rain and snow. We'll be watching for the possibility of even upwards of a foot of rainfall over western Oregon. Mudslides and major river flooding will be ongoing concerns. If you have friends or family there, make sure they understand this situation. Late Friday into Saturday, storm remnants move into southern Canada in areas like Saskatchewan where light snow is possible. By the weekend and early next week, we'll continue to have a very active weather pattern in the Pacific Northwest. East of the Rockies will be fairly quiet with no major storm systems on the horizon right before Christmas. Now, I need to address the Christmas outlook, and I want to be clear about what we know with confidence versus what remains uncertain. Looking at Christmas Day, uncertainty increases. The GFS model has been showing some signs of wintry weather in areas like the Northeast or upper Midwest. This is worth monitoring, but we don't really know if this will materialize yet. Another possibility would be over on the West Coast in areas like California and Nevada, where we could see a storm system bringing heavy rainfall. Right now, Christmas remains somewhat uncertain for specific weather, but the temperature trend is very clear. If you're hoping for a nice cold Christmas, I have news that might disappoint you. That's not happening. We're expecting a very warm pattern to settle across the United States with very high likelihood of above-average temperatures between the 22nd and 26th, only about a week away. Currently, above-average temperatures dominate most of the country. We'll see a brief shot of Arctic air late Thursday and Friday across the Midwest Ohio Valley and Great Lakes, but watch how quickly it exits. It'll only last about 24 hours. By Saturday and Sunday, warm air returns. By early next week, warm air will be building all across the United States. It's going to be hot for this time of year. We're talking about potential record-breaking high temperatures across areas like the Midwest, Central, and Southern Plains. Get ready. You won't need a winter jacket around Christmas. For most of you, torch conditions are coming to the United States. Here's an early preview of possible Christmas Eve temperatures. Keep in mind this is still about a week away, so some adjustment is possible. But right now we're forecasting a very warm Christmas. Areas just south of Chicago could see temperatures in the 60s and 70s. We could hit 70 degrees Christmas Eve in St. Louis, while Chicago might only reach 40 degrees. This represents a dramatic flip from the winter weather we've experienced recently. Now let me give you specific action items based on your region because preparation strategies differ dramatically depending on your location. Pacific Northwest, particularly Washington and Oregon, ongoing flooding and mountain snow are immediate concerns. River flooding will worsen over the next couple of days. Have evacuation plans ready if you're in flood-prone areas. Avoid mountain pass travel where blizzard conditions are occurring. The situation remains active through Friday and continues into the weekend with additional moisture arriving. This is a multi-day event for you. Northern Plains, North Dakota, Minnesota, northern Wisconsin. Thursday is your critical day. Use Wednesday to prepare. Secure outdoor items before high winds arrive. Expect blizzard conditions. Thursday, even with modest snowfall because of extremely high winds. Travel will be hazardous Thursday afternoon and evening. If you must travel, do it early Thursday before conditions deteriorate. Have emergency supplies in your vehicle if you must be on the roads. Broader Midwest, including Iowa, Wisconsin, South Dakota, Great Lakes, very high winds. Wednesday night into Thursday are your primary concern. Wind gusts of 40 to 70 miles per hour can cause power outages. Have flashlights and alternative heating sources ready. Secure loose outdoor items. Be prepared to stay home Thursday if possible. Ohio Valley from Ohio to Tennessee, Thursday afternoon into evening, stay weather aware. This is your severe weather window. Thunderstorm lines will produce damaging winds up to 60 miles per hour. Tornado threat is low but not zero. Have multiple ways to receive weather warnings. Know your safe place in your home. The severe weather threat is relatively brief but needs your attention. New England Friday is your day. Expect moderate to heavy rainfall late morning and early afternoon. Plan for slower Friday morning commute. Some light snow possible on the backside across interior areas, but significant accumulation is not expected. This is mainly a rain event for you. Looking at the extended outlook, the Pacific Northwest remains in an active pattern through the weekend into early next week. East of the Rockies will be fairly quiet heading into Christmas. The major story for Christmas week is the warm pattern. If you were hoping for a white Christmas or cold conditions, you'll need to adjust those expectations. Uncertainty exists about whether storm systems will develop around Christmas. Some models suggest possible wintry weather in the Northeast or upper Midwest, while others show potential for a West Coast storm affecting California and Nevada. These details will sharpen as we get closer. I recommend checking back for updates as the pattern evolves and models come into better agreement. Here's your bottom line by region. Pacific Northwest faces ongoing flooding through the weekend. This is a multi-day situation. Northern Plains and Upper Midwest face critical high wind and winter weather day. Thursday, Ohio Valley watches for brief but potentially significant severe weather Thursday afternoon. New England gets heavy rain Friday. Everyone across the country should prepare for a very warm Christmas week with possible record-breaking temperatures. The split-story nature of this pattern means your preparation needs to be specific to your region. Stay weather aware and make smart decisions about travel over the next few days.